The chair beneath you isn't solid matter at all, but a dense symphony of captured light and sound. The universe doesn't speak in words. It communicates solely through the unrelenting language of vibration. Every thought you carry, every concealed resentment you nurse, and every quiet moment of grace you encounter releases a precise frequency that ripples outward across the immensity of space. You are not simply a physical body moving through a lifeless world. You are a living, breathing antenna ceaselessly broadcasting your exact spiritual condition into the fabric of creation. And at this very moment, the frequency you are transmitting is determining the reality you are drawing toward yourself. Creation itself began as pure vibration. The spoken word of the Creator broke the silence of the void, setting the cosmos into an endless state of motion. From the loftiest celestial spheres to the deepest strata of the earth, absolutely everything vibrates. Life is motion. Stillness is an illusion of the physical senses. When a soul comes into being, it is born from the mind of God as a spark of high-frequency energy designed to remain in perfect harmony with the divine pattern. As souls descended into the material plane, the density of the physical world offered sensory experiences that seized the attention of the mind. Gradually, focus drifted away from the spiritual origin toward the material illusion. Selfishness, pride, and the craving for personal power introduced a heavier vibration into the human experience. This was a dramatic collapse in frequency. When you choose fear over love, your spiritual vibration falls. You grow heavy. The connection to the divine source becomes muted by the static of earthly desires. This dissonance manifests in the physical world as disease, conflict, and despair. A mind out of tune with the Creator inevitably produces a life out of balance. The soul becomes ensnared in a cycle of generating low frequencies and suffering the consequences of those very emissions. The universe runs on the unbreakable law of cause and effect, which is merely the law of vibration returning to the one who produced the sound. Whatever you transmit must eventually come back to you. Humanity was suffocating in a dense, dissonant frequency. Earth's vibration had grown too heavy. A divine intervention became necessary. The physical realm required a perfect tuning fork. Jesus of Nazareth came into the world not simply as a teacher, but as the living embodiment of the highest frequency attainable in the material universe. He carried the Christ consciousness into the density of flesh. The Christ consciousness is the pure awareness of the soul's oneness with God. It is the precise vibrational signature of unconditional love, complete surrender, and ultimate divine will. Jesus embodied this frequency without flaw. From his birth to his final sacrifice, every action and silent prayer released a vibration so powerful that it transformed the spiritual atmosphere of the entire planet. He was the literal light. His very presence was a vibrational shockwave against the darkness. When he moved among the sick, his pure frequency dissolved the dissonance of their afflictions. Healing was the total submission of a disordered, low-frequency state to the perfect harmony of the Christ pattern. Demons fled from the unbearable intensity of his spiritual vibration. Darkness could not endure in the presence of such concentrated light. He came to show humanity the path home. The life of Jesus remains the flawless blueprint for raising human frequency from the mire of selfishness to the splendor of the divine. He is the bridge across the vibrational chasm. When he proclaimed himself the way, the truth, and the life, he was describing the precise spiritual mechanics of the universe. No other frequency is capable of piercing the density of the material world and reconnecting the fallen soul directly to God. To raise your consciousness is to tune your inner receiver exclusively to the frequency of Jesus Christ. It is a daily calibration of your thoughts and deepest intentions to match his pattern of selfless love. The universe reads what lies at the core of your spirit. When your mind is consumed by greed, your frequency stays rooted in the dust. When your heart opens to authentic charity, your vibration immediately rises, snapping the chains of cause and effect that tether you to earthly suffering. The cross was the supreme victory of frequency over density. Faced with unbearable agony and savage hatred, Jesus refused to drop his vibration down to meet his persecutors. He held fast to the frequency of divine love. He forgave. That one act shattered the foundation of darkness in this world forever, opening a luminous pathway for every soul. Each time you choose patience instead of impulsive anger, you are drawing on his power. You become a channel for the force that holds the stars in place, taking on the radiant eternal vibration of the Savior. The physical body you inhabit today is no genetic accident. It is the crystallized outcome of the vibrations you have produced across time. Your body is a map of your soul's journey. Every sickness, every strength, and every limitation is a bodily echo of a spiritual frequency set into motion long ago. The universe records all of it. Space and time are simply mechanisms that decelerate the law of cause and effect, granting you the mercy of an opportunity to correct your vibration before it crushes you. If every hateful thought instantly became physical pain, humanity would have annihilated itself ages ago. That delay is divine grace. It is the breathing space necessary for learning. In the spiritual realm, nothing is hidden. The universe holds a perfect, permanent record of every vibration ever released by any soul. This living memory bank is interwoven into the very fabric of existence. Each choice you make inscribes a fresh line of code into the immense energetic record of creation. The quiet verdicts you pass ring out as loudly as thunder. Your hidden gestures of compassion blaze like lighthouses in the night. Through the frequency of your current thoughts, you are perpetually constructing the conditions of your future. The mind is the architect. The material world is merely the slow, heavy clay that eventually conforms itself to the contours of the mind. Your body is fitted with spiritual centers, particular points within your glandular system, designed to capture and interpret these cosmic frequencies. These centers are where the boundless soul meets the bounded flesh. When envy or fury take root within you, these centers become obstructed and diseased, draining the vitality of your whole body. Yet when you raise your mind toward the divine, these points behave like tuning forks, resonating with the pristine energy of the Creator. Properly awakening these centers has nothing to do with mystical sleight of hand. It is about cleansing your daily existence so thoroughly that your physical body can endure the tremendous power of the Christ frequency coursing through it. To grasp how to shift your frequency, you must comprehend the architecture of your own awareness. You function on three separate planes. The conscious mind is the outer layer. It engages with the material realm, examining and responding to the heavy vibrations of everyday survival. It is noisy, easily diverted, and mostly oblivious to spiritual reality. Below it rests the subconscious mind. This is the repository of your memories, your deeply rooted convictions, and the habitual patterns that actually steer your behavior. The subconscious does not debate. It merely soaks in whatever frequency you offer it and faithfully labors to express that frequency in your material life. But a third level exists. Beyond the clamor of the conscious mind and the conditioning of the subconscious lies the superconscious mind. This is the divine spark within you. It is the portion of your soul that never departed from God's presence. The superconscious functions solely on the frequency of Christ consciousness. It is the eternal, incorruptible vessel of divine truth. The aim of the human journey is to still the conscious mind and purify the subconscious so thoroughly that the pure light of the superconscious can saturate your entire being. Jesus Christ embodied the absolute mastery of this process. In him, the conscious mind was wholly surrendered to the superconscious. The human will was flawlessly aligned with the divine will. He did not merely access a higher frequency from time to time, he became its permanent channel when he commanded the wind and the waves to be still. He was not battling nature, he was emanating a frequency of absolute peace that the chaotic elements were compelled to obey. The lower vibration must always yield to the higher vibration. This is an unbreakable universal law. The earth is a school crafted to test your mastery of this law. You are positioned in a dense, challenging environment encircled by the heavy vibrations of anger, greed, and fear. The test is simple, yet it is the most difficult task in creation. Can you sustain the high frequency of love while immersed in the low frequency of the world? Can you hold the pattern of the Christ when the flesh cries out for revenge? Most souls fail again and again. They absorb the heavy vibrations surrounding them and broadcast them straight back, trapping themselves in a perpetual loop of suffering. They counter anger with anger. They oppose hate with hate. This only deepens the spiritual mire. The law of cause and effect requires that you reap what you sow. Karma is not punishment. It is merely the universe sending your own frequency back to you until you learn to shift the tune. But the coming of Jesus introduced a new mechanism into the human experience. He brought the law of grace. Grace is the abrupt and miraculous suspension of karma. When a soul authentically repents, turns away from self-interest, and wholeheartedly embraces the frequency of Christ, the old account is erased. The low-frequency debts accumulated in the past dissolve in the high-frequency fire of His pure love. The law of grace declares that if you align yourself with the supreme vibration of the Creator, the universe pardons the dissonance you once produced. Such alignment calls for a drastic reorientation. It requires that you cease searching outside yourself for salvation and begin tuning the instrument of your own soul. You must learn to observe the vibration of your thoughts with unrelenting precision. Every encounter is a chance to transmit light. When you bless the one who curses you, you are enacting a miracle of frequency. You are halting a dark vibration in its course and substituting it with the sacred light of the Savior.
Cannot hold.
This is how the world is redeemed, one individual frequency at a time. The struggle between light and darkness does not unfold on a physical battlefield. It takes place entirely within the silent chambers of the human mind, where each soul must decide which vibration it will serve. The ultimate fate of your soul is not simply to endure the material world, but to overcome it. You are intended to elevate your vibration until the dense clay of physical existence can no longer restrain you. This was the promise the Savior left behind. He demonstrated that the heavy frequencies of the earth are entirely powerless against a soul wholly surrendered to the will of God. When the human mind is at last cleansed of its selfish static, it resounds with the absolute clarity of a struck bell. In that instant of perfect resonance, the illusion of separation dissolves. The soul returns to its source, not as a blank spark of light, but as a fully conscious companion to the Creator, broadcasting the eternal frequency of love forever. Decades ago, Edgar Cayce held the belief that human beings were profoundly impacted by unseen vibrations, frequencies with the power to shape emotional, mental, and even spiritual states. Back then, many brushed these notions aside as mere superstition. Yet today, contemporary researchers have begun investigating how certain sounds might affect concentration, profound relaxation, and altered states of awareness. While putting together this video, I stumbled upon a sound experience that vividly brought to mind the ideas you've just heard. If you'd like to try it yourself, I've placed the link in the description and in the first pinned comment, but engage with it properly, in silence, free from distractions, because some listeners say it utterly transformed the way they perceive their own minds. And now the question turns to you. Examine the life you have constructed around yourself. Examine the patterns that recur year after year. The conflicts that never seem to find resolution. The quiet anxieties that stir you awake in the middle of the night. What is the true frequency you are sending out into the world? You can fool your friends, you can fool your family, and you can certainly fool yourself, but you cannot deceive the universe. The universe perceives only your vibration. If your life is perpetually consumed by chaos, who is producing the noise when you are entirely alone, stripped of your phone, your work, and your everyday distractions? What is the sound of your own mind? Is it the still, small voice of divine peace, or is it a thunderous roar of regrets and fears? Each time you cling to a grudge, you are binding your soul to a stone. Why do you refuse to release the heavy burdens dragging you down? You profess to follow the light, yet how often do you lower your frequency simply to win a trivial argument or shield your fragile pride? Christ presented a perfect model of elevation, yet you repeatedly choose the mud. Why? Is it because the mud feels familiar? Could it be that walking into His light would mean letting go of the victim role you cling to as armor? The law of cause and effect is at work upon you in this very moment. Each bitter thought you cultivate is a seed sown into the ground of your future. Do you truly wish to gather the harvest you are now sowing? Neutral ground does not exist. You are either lifting the world's vibration or pulling it lower. The spiritual realm observes. The ledger lies open. When the final note of your earthly life rings out, what echo will remain of your existence? Will it be a jarring screech of squandered potential or a pure, resounding witness to the grace of the Creator? If what you have just heard touched you, there is a way to welcome this silence rather than flee from it. I have placed a link in the description of this video and in the first pinned comment. That sound experience was crafted for moments such as this, when the world's noise grows deafening and the soul calls out to be heard. Open it tonight in a quiet space and allow it to reach the parts of you that words can no longer touch. The teachings offered in this video draw upon the work of Edgar Cayce, the 20th century American mystic, whose recorded readings examined the soul's journey, reincarnation, the laws of vibration, and the path of return to the divine. This content was developed through the study of his readings and the archives of the Association for Research and Enlightenment.